action.
One of the fascinating things in the franchise to me is the world creation. Ballerina gives us a chance to explore that world.
How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
It was really cool after John Wick 4 to have the opportunity to put the suit back on and to have some fun. You know, I love John Wick, and it was, you know, I only worked for a couple of weeks. I had about 8-10 days, but yeah, it was really special to play the role again. What was cool to see was that she was having fun. Like that while we were training and doing it, it was, you know, it was nice to see that she was enjoying it, you know. And then when we would get the choreography together, to see her shift into her next gear, you know, like wow, and go, was really cool to see.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go!
Clean. That's cool. I love the script. I love the story. I love the character. I was a big fan of the John Wick franchise and of Keanu, of course. And I just saw beyond all the action that was on the page, I just saw how much heart, you know, there was in the movie. And I just loved the story.
Ready, and action.
TTI Custom Benelli MT 21-inch vent rib. Oversized charging handle, oversized bolt release.
Nice. Now do one start from the top, do one where you're looking at him for some of the stuff he's saying while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, still rolling, here we go.
Eve is a ballerina in training to be an assassin, but by the Roscoe Roma. She's very wounded and in a lot of pain and confusion because of something that happened when she was a child, when she saw some, you know, men killing her dad. And that was something that she never got an answer about, and that was just like, it stuck with her. So she really wants to get into the Roscoe Roma world just to, I guess, channel that pain. That was also like always in the back of her mind. And as soon as she gets the first clue that would lead her to the man who did this to her father, she's just laser focused on finding these people and just seek revenge.
We had a lot of fun. You know, the film Knock Knock is basically kind of, well, it's a home invasion film with a twist in terms of what the plot is. And, you know, it kind of speaks to Ana's range in that she can do comedy, drama, action. You know, there's really not anything she can't do. It was really fun to, you know, she tortures me. And it was fun to play, you know. It was fun she's a total pro. And with that comes trust and freedom, and you get to just, you know, try stuff out. You know, you can do improvisation, you're in the moment. You know, you're basically playing, you know, acting tennis. You know, here you go. Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay, then here you go. And Knock Knock is a really good example of that.
And walkie.
Dead.
amazing!
Cut, cut.
It was full on, you know, it was like really intense training for quite a long time. There was a lot of strength training and then just hours and hours at the stunts facility at 8711 with the most amazing stunt crew. And we just worked our way up to getting me ready to take on this kind of action at the level that I needed to be. It was a good progression of the training. We started like from very basic things, which were a great foundation for the training. And then, you know, getting more specific into designing the choreos and leaning into my strengths and the things that we knew they were easier for me to do and just kind of like tailoring the fights to my comfort level. And then it was just fun to learn how to handle the guns and all the weapons that I had to use in the movie and growing in confidence and like control. And I felt like I genuinely got to the point of like feeling good about starting on day one in the movie and just I was ready for it.
She sent you here to kill me?
Or you can leave.
I'm not leaving.
Your choice.
In terms of like preparing for the choreography and for the fight sequences, it was very familiar to me as a kind of John Wick kind of process because I was working with Jackson Spidell, who had doubled me and then had since moved on to choreography. Yeah, I mean, she had already been training for a while when I got there. I was kind of like the salty veteran, like, you know, warm up, like, okay, let's go. What's the choreography? And then she was like, bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then, so it was, yeah, you learn the choreography, do some training. Ana's got a real good, you know, once someone says action, she's there. She's like, let's go. So that was
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. The students all talk about you. How do I get out of here?
The front door is unlocked.
No, I mean, how do I start doing what you do?
Yeah, I mean, seeing, training with Ana and then getting to the scenes that we have, we use this word toughness. I mean, making movies is tough, but it's so much fun. Her character is she's lost some of her family, and she's trapped in a world. But what's interesting about the character to me is that she wants to do, but she doesn't know what she's actually saying yes to. So there's an innocence to the character, but a strong passion. And in a way, kind of still fighting in the same way that John Wick was for a kind of freedom, to get outside of the forces and that are impacting her life. She's a wonderful actress, so talented, and her, that core strength, that core being able to kind of draw that up and to show that and what was cool to see her do that physically, but also just in the stillness, in the scenes that we had together. She's quite a presence.
Why would they be at the hotel?
They just want me dead to get to her.
I'm shooting a television show in France right now, and I was like, guys, it's John Wick. You gotta let me go. And they're like, okay, it's John Wick. You can go. But everybody there's been texting me, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Everyone's super jealous. Good. Let them be jealous. And excited for me as well. But But yeah, when they first approached me, first thing I said was, absolutely, it's happening. You guys are gonna let me off this TV show. But you know, everybody's just really excited for me, and I'm excited for me. You know, it's John Wick. You know what I'm saying? It's the best.
We're going to give you the rubber one, okay? And then we're going to continue action. You start to go for her. Boom, you're shot. Alright, second cut. No, that's great. Yeah. So let's just delay this guy at the door a hair. 3, 2, 1, action.
One big thing was that he was a protector, so he doesn't kill, you know? So that influenced a lot of the fighting, which was nothing was a kill shot. Everything was to disarm, disable, and move forward. And so that was so helpful to understand. He very much is living in an island, I mean, figuratively and metaphorically, with him and his daughter. And I think the fear of trying to maintain young Eve's world as safe and as protective as possible, while knowing that eventually the truth is going to come out about who she is and what world she lives in. And so that, I think that mask that he carries with him, you know, about everything is good, and then immediately gets turned upside down when, you know, when they come after her, or come after both of them. It's a you know, fight or flight moment, you know, and obviously he goes into somewhat of an autopilot to protect his daughter. But it is, yeah, I think as a parent, it's just a lot more pressure to make sure that your child is safe from a world that eventually is going to come and get them.
He is beating you because you are allowing him to define the terms of the contest.
I think because Nogi meets Eve at such a young age, her first perception of Eve is that she's this strong, determined survivor who has, in a way like Nogi, come from a world where she cannot be anymore. And so there is an understanding of being left on your own, an orphan, and then becoming, in your own strength, your own entity. And I believe as they grow, their relationship does strengthen, and there's a slight maternal connection, but it is always about pushing forward and finding her own voice and her own character and her own identity.
You want to win? Change the terms.
How's that? Okay. Is it okay? Yep, that's great.
Okay.
And then Ian, can we check you on your stand? On yours as well. Thanks.
You good?
How's that treaty?
Blah, 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 this, huh? Fair.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes I talk to Shay, who's written the last couple, Hutton, and we haven't met, but I have an understanding that he overwrites Winston to sort of like he's an English. I said, "You sort of Oscar Wilde." I said, you know, and he said, "I trust you'll pare it down and you'll make it." I said, "Yeah, exactly." So I think Winston is, he's an observer of human nature. He's a pithy observer. He comes out with the bummo, but he only says enough. No more, otherwise he doesn't give anything away. Which is why he's still survived, which is why he's still here, you know?
Sean!
Oh, shit. I kept thinking it was going to come down. It's there. My fault. My bad. My bad. Not VFX. My bad. Okay, go again.
Ready and action.
TTI custom Benelli MT 21-inch vent rib. Oversized charging handle. Oversized bolt release.
Nice. Now do one start from the top, do one where you're looking at him for some of the stuff and saying while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, still rolling. Here we go.
I think, you know, It's always tricky to do John Wick without John Wick, or John Wick adjacent, or however you want to put it. But I think one of the fascinating things in the franchise to me is kind of the world creation. Like we always say, I'm a big fan of Greek mythology and Tolkien and all kinds of fantasy-esque worlds like that. So to build your own world and take it, and in the features of John Wick, we have that 2 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes sometimes, to explore the worlds. And it's usually, very John Wick centric. We're always with the characters, so we don't really have time to explore all the worlds, which is why TV and an anime are always exciting. But also the ancillary features, like Ballerina, give us a chance to explore that world. Is it something people want to see? I think so. Can we make the characters exciting and stuff? I think so. Just they're intrinsically going to be different than John Wick. I think if we just tried copying the same story of our protagonist, it would get redundant or feel a little bit out. But trying to give each of our leads a different story arc, I think, is what we're hoping for.
We'll see, because once he comes up...
Clean.
That's cool.
Cool. John Wick and Eve, they both suffered loss. And so there's a commonality there. They cross paths hardcore. John Wick is on his way out of all the ramifications and consequences that he's been through. And Eve is just beginning to go down that road. So there's understanding, but also a warning of, advice. I don't want to say bigger brother, but in terms of real life, of a bigger brother's been through it and says, just understand what you're getting yourself into if you go down this path.
These kind of films in particular are made for people to experience on a big scale. The scope of the film and like all the details, and you need to feel the danger, you need to be at the edge of your seat with your popcorn and just like really enjoy the ride with the sound, with the image, with the actors, the emotions, that everything that's going on. It is definitely a movie for theaters.
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
I know you. I know your pain.
This isn't done until they're dead.
Buena suerte, señorita.
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
Those people that you're looking for, they're surrounding this hotel right now.
Risen from the ashes, again and again, fire.
You don't choose to be a killer. You are chosen.
No, I chose this!
Consequences.
Risen from the ashes, again and again.
And what, may I ask, is your name?
When you think of me, you should think of fire.